their purview. So I think that would be a good partnership to explore.
Agreed.
Okay. So Glenn and I met again today on the 3-year water and street resurfacing plan. I still anticipate that plan coming before you at the next council meeting. We're pretty far along. He's got a few tweaks to make on the water side, but I think we've got a good list of streets identified. We need to total up the amount, the funding needed to do those streets, and see if we can add more to it or if we need to take a few away. Still on track to start PV sports fields phase 2 sometime this month, and then continue on to grading in July. Still on track with the TAP sidewalk project. I know that there's some discussions Barry told me about today with the power company about if we need to change the scope of where the sidewalks, if you recall maybe 3 months ago or so, the Alabama Power relocated some power lines along Daleville Avenue. And so the poles are in different locations than they were when we designed the sidewalks. So we're trying to figure out right now, do we move the poles or change the design? And so when we get an answer to that, we'll keep going. But that's just a minor hiccup in the process. Dozier Road paving should start this week or next. Went up to the ADVA to look at that project today. And did have some discussions about the cash funding as per the agreement. That amount will be triggered when they send an email. The amount should be somewhere south of $6 million based on some in-kind services and other obligations that the city had that we deducted from that, and they've concurred with those assessments. I think Glenn did that work for us. And so when we get that final number, we'll bring it to the council. Just so you can look at it and before we issue the payment. Report on effectiveness of public transportation. I'll continue to do that, but I got another update today, just so you're aware, from Regional Planning Commission. Again, we're hovering in that 620-ish users a month area right now. 54% are still using it to get to and from work. That's the big block there, and then we've got some healthcare, education, shopping, retail. Those kind of things make up the majority of the rest of it. But so, you know, in my opinion, I think it's accomplishing what you wanted. I think we need to continue to assess if we've got too much or too little. At this point, you know, the numbers have kind of stabilized. I think when it started out, there were about 300 users, so it's over doubled from when it started out in October. But it's not really getting north of, you know, around 600 to 650 on a monthly basis right now.
Is there any additional promotion that needs to be done? Because I still run into people that don't know it exists.
So yeah, I mean, I think we can always look at how we promote it. And I've had some people approach me about vouchers, and I think that would be something that we could try to divert, you know, nonprofit organizations that would like to do that. Maybe you know, talk to the Regional Planning Commission. In other words, you can buy $3 tickets, pay in advance, and then hand them out to people if they would like to use them. Those are some ways that other external stakeholders could get involved if they want to help people that maybe can't afford public transportation, or they want to encourage people to give it a try. We can also look at doing something notification in our water bills or utility billing. We do have a block on there that we could do that, or potentially run some sort of something in the envelope, you know, an add-on. Any of that, would you like us to look at those options and kind of talk to you about it?
Well, you know, it's like we constantly run into is it's becoming increasingly difficult to get the word out to all of our citizens, since we don't have a newspaper, we don't have we never have any media here reporting on much of what we do, and so we're limited to a lot of times to our website and Facebook to get the word out. And there's just a lot of people that still don't see it for whatever reason. So I think any avenue that we have to get the word out on things that we would like to see successful, that we should try, especially if it's free, like the water bill. Doesn't cost anything to add that into that block.
Yeah, and we can probably look at our social media promotions and things like that as well, remind the public that this is ongoing.
I'd like to suggest, too, that getting it out to our senior groups at all the churches, somehow a flyer or some kind of meeting or with them, because I've had some seniors didn't know about it. And maybe that's a good group to do it. I know the folks back here, they might be able to talk to them. Sarko is another one, but
Yeah.
maybe our local churches could put that out for those groups.
Yes, sir. We'll work on that. And you mentioned kind of the media piece of this, or publicizing things. I do want to call Jeremy up if he's got a few minutes. Is he still back there? Jeremy, can you come up here? So Jeremy informed me, we had a glitch at the last council meeting, if you remember, with the going live.
Right.
And some of you, I think, had requested that Troy Cable or C Spire do some, live streaming. So I think he's got some good news for you on that front. I think it started tonight, but Jeremy, can you give me an update?
It did. So I was just going to let you guys know what happened last council meeting that caused the live stream not to work, because I know there was, some a lot of stars aligned to make it not work. But we have a box called a Teradek that is a professional grade device. It's not something that we cobbled together or anything like that. It's actually what C Spire recommended that we purchase to do our live streams. And that device died right at the beginning of the meeting. Right as they hit go live, the whole device just locked up, went offline, there was nothing on the screen or anything after we tried to reboot it. So we reached up and hit record on the camera, and there was a brand new Lexar 64 gigabyte memory card inside the camera, and it actually died right after we hit record. So we were able to get the audio of the meeting and upload that, so we still have that context or history of the meeting. But since then, we've done a number of things. The first thing is we were able to send the Teradek off to the manufacturer, and they fixed it for free. It had a lifetime warranty, actually. And we got it back. We have it registered with C Spire. So as of tonight, we are live on YouTube, but we're also live on C Spire Channel 2, which is their public access TV network. So any citizen that has C Spire as their cable provider can tune in and watch it on their TV without having to have YouTube or anything like that. They'll also be taking over all of our live meetings going forward. So they'll do all the work sessions, the council meetings, planning commission, board of adjustment, any type of video that we have, they'll start doing those for us. And then we have new memory cards in the camera, so if something ever happens again, we can reach up and hit record and should have no issues with that. The other thing that we did is we swapped out the software that we're using for department heads to connect to y'all's projectors. And you'll notice that it just displays a logo now, looks a lot cleaner, but they'll be able to connect a lot easier. It's a lot smoother, a lot faster. And then when they disconnect, it'll go right back to this logo so that there's no longer any kind of like advertisement or anything up there.
Great.
All right.
Sounds like progress. Are we going to have a press release on that so that those of us that do have some social media accounts, we can share it out?
We can get one done, yes, sir. I walked in here around 3:30 and got the briefing on it, so it's pretty hot off the press, and it seems to be working. It was one of the things we were nervous about, but Jeremy and his team and Billy and Birgit have worked really hard. We tried to learn from that snafu at the last council meeting, and I think we've come back with a better solution. And frankly, there's more options now for the public to, they don't have to go online, as Jeremy said. They can turn into Channel 2 and watch the meetings, like public access television. So.
Yeah, and I think we're obviously, like Greg said, progress. We're heading in the right direction. And so, one other thing I'd like to throw out there, just kind of aspirational, not demanding it next meeting or anything, but one day when somebody's given a presentation, it would be nice if the camera shot could go to that presentation and then maybe the meeting be in an inset. I see that in other public meetings that I've watched in other cities You know what I'm talking about, Jeremy? I mean, we can talk about it offline. Just like I said, not. I think what we have now is great, huge improvement over what we had, especially the audio and video quality on YouTube, and now C Spire. But so we're heading in the right direction.
Okay. Just thought that you would like that, since there's another avenue now to get
Yeah, no, absolutely.
information out, and this will impact all of our meetings, as Jeremy said. So that's pretty good. So another couple things that I'll tie up here: the blight elimination, land bank, all those kind of things. So the bottom line is on the blight elimination. We have a couple of things over the next 30 days that we will hopefully introduce to the council for consideration, and then, if you see fit, adoption for a couple of different ordinances that will give us, I think, the teeth we need for unsafe buildings to demo them, and then subsequently nuisance properties, particularly pertaining to vegetation that's overgrown. There's a couple more ordinances that our attorneys have suggested that we add so that we can take action and actually take care of that on somebody else's property. So if we see overgrown vegetation on a lot, we can go and cut that and then assess maybe a tax lien or some other thing against the property owner for payment or attach it to their bill, depending on how that ordinance reads. But again, those are kind of the last two things that we'll need to do in order to fully have the set of tools that we need. Then we will subsequently look at 8 properties to bring to you. So we have identified, I think you all know this, somewhere around 132 properties. And so we're going to have a batch.
That's 132 properties that need to be demolished. Right?
Yeah, unsafe or blighted, and some like bad properties, not just their grass hasn't been cut in the last week, unsafe properties. And so with those, we're going to take 8 to go through the process the first time to the council. And that will be ultimately somewhere around a 90-day proposition. So they'll have roughly 20 days that they'll get notice and be able to respond. So in some cases, somebody might get notice and within that 20-day window say, hey, this is the first I'm hearing about this. I'd really like to clean that up. I don't know how many of those that we'll have. We've been unsuccessful with that to this point, but they will be given an opportunity over that 20-day window to respond. And then there'll be somewhere around another 50 to 60 days if they don't respond, that we'll have to do some other legal notices on our end, and then basically ultimately at the end of that time period, bring it before the council to declare it an unsafe property, and then we would take action. So that's kind of what you can expect coming over the next couple of months. So it'll take us about another 30 days to get the other 2 pieces or ordinances approved, if you approve them, and then subsequently another 90 days after that to try to start mitigating. From there, it really just is a matter of how much, time and energy we can devote, or resources that you want to devote from a monetary standpoint to do these things. So, if we could do all 132 properties, I know some of you would like to do that, tomorrow. But there's a lot of work that goes into getting each one of those properties ready to be litigated. Potentially, and then there's due process and rights that the property owners have, and if they file an appeal, that can muck up some of that as well. So we're going to try to do this the right way with the legal guidance that we've had, and give everybody a fair chance to address the problems that they've got with their property. But ultimately, we feel like we're putting the city and the taxpayer in the best position possible should somebody turn around and have an issue and want to take the city to court over the issue.
So are you only doing 8 as a trial run, or?
Well, I think that's.
Because if we only do 8 at a time, it's going to take years.
Well, if we did 8 at every other council meeting, it would effectively take about a year to do the 132, 20-ish council meetings or fewer. But
You said every other, you meant every. council.
every council meeting,
Every council.
every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, my apologies. But essentially, I think what the legal counsel that we're working with has asked us to do with the 8 is let's make sure we know what we're doing and that everybody's comfortable with the process instead of trying to spend, a lot of manpower and energy building up, on 100 cases or 20, just so that we can go through the process, because it'll be everybody's kind of first on our staff, on the councils, the public, and we want to see how this goes and how we are able to manage it. And we may find that, 8 was no problem. It didn't take as much work as we thought. We can do 16 or we can do 24 the next time. But I think 8 was a comfortable number that the attorney recommended that we're using with Hand Arundel, recommended that we look at.
So you're saying we do 8, we don't have to wait 90 days to do another 8?
No.
Okay.
It's a 90-day cycle for
Gotcha.
each property.
Right.
So we can put as many balls up in the air as we can handle, right?
That's right.
Okay. I was afraid we were talking about doing 8, waiting 90 days, doing another 8, another 90 days.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Now, when we say 8, would that mean there's 8 public hearings at every council meeting?
Potentially. I mean, so we can have special call meetings. I was just using that as a frame of
Yeah.
reference. 8 sounds like not a lot, right? To your point, that might take years, but if you think about it over the course of a month, 2 council meetings, and you get 16, that's over 10% of the properties that we've identified. So if we had started this process a year ago today, we'd be done.
And now we'd just be in maintenance mode.
Right. So, I'm just telling you what the legal advice was. We can certainly push it and try to get as many as we get done, but, that's 132 to your point, Councilman, 132 public hearings.
Do these ordinances you're talking about, do they also give you the teeth you need to take care of the slumlords, the apartment complexes that we've identified as being very bad locations for people to live in?
So I think so. As long as we're dealing with unsafe structures, not because it doesn't look pretty, but because it's literally unsafe for an occupant. So to your point, that it's not the people that live in these places. It's not their fault. A lot of times they're being preyed on by, their landlord or whoever is managing the property. They won't fix basic essential services, as we saw a year or so ago at the council meeting, with raw sewage backed up into the yards. They have holes in roofs, electrical outlets, rails that are unsafe, decaying buildings. And so, yes, I mean, we're focused on fixing the problem and addressing it with the property owners, not the tenants.
And this is also, I just want to be sure I'm clear, with also just homes that are, let's say a burned house that's
Right.
been burned. This is going to be all inclusive for
Ab-
those types of properties, overgrown properties,
Absolutely.
anything unattended to,
Yes, ma'am.
basically.
Yeah, you remember we adopted some property maintenance codes and other things that gave us some teeth, but after legal review, I think to go through this process, as you recall, the firm we hired, Hand Arundel, has represented a lot of different communities in dealing with this same issue. And some of you were at the League of Municipalities Economic Development thing, and Ben Goldman spoke at that. He's got a program, and in order to be in compliance with his program, which, by the way, has gone all the way through the legal process up to challenged at the Supreme Court and was upheld, that's why we're trying to change these around to follow his process and not keep everything that we've got. We want to make sure that, if there are challenges, that we feel, comfortable that, at the end of the day, we've done everything the correct way and that we won't be overturned by some higher court.
I'm certainly glad to hear this. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm glad to hear this, and I agree with the procedure that you're starting with. Start with only 8, see how it works out, and then, plan from there.
But it should make, even if we just did 8, like I said, I mean, I think it will, 2 months into it, we've addressed 20% of the properties, 3 months into it, over 30. So it sounds like a long time to Councilman Pageant's point, but, I think if we get in a good rhythm with it, that, we'll get good at doing it.
And that's what I was going to say. I'm not opposed to the 8, but I want us to be consistent and stay on top of this and not let it just continue to be like it has been. If we see that 8 is going good, that we get in a method of making sure that we're adding on. Because I don't care about the hearings. That's fine with me. I'd rather have them than to continue to deal with some of the issues and the calls that we're getting about.
Yes, ma'am.
Properties.
And if you recall, what we've been dealing with is just, the lack of ordinances I know a lot of people, the comments that were made to me kind of want the city to come in, overnight, and just start tackling problems on other people's property. And, that's just not how it works. And we have to make sure that we're giving everybody due process and have the rights upheld for property ownership in, federally, our state, and then at the local level. And so we're trying to make sure that we've got the right tools at the local level that will be upheld at the state courts, should they ever be challenged.
Well, to speak to what Sonny just said, I personally would like to see us be as aggressive as we legally can be and can handle it at the city level to hopefully, before this council's term is over with, to have these properties that have been identified dealt with.
Yes,
That
sir.
would be my desire.
Loud and clear.
Even if we have to stay here all day on a Friday and Saturday doing back-to-back public hearings to make it happen.
Yes, sir. Okay. So that's pretty much the gist of the updates on the projects, but there's really no other ones to update at this time.
All right, council, next item, or any questions of Jonathan on our quarterly goals? Let's go over to our agenda packet. Barry, if we don't get to you, we'll do it in staff reports. So. All right, we've got our normal stuff of roll call, opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, and approval of the agenda. Then our consent agenda, which consists of meeting minutes from April 16th. We've got accounts payable A and B for the amounts that you see there, our normal billings. Then our contract billings for Beasley for $558,000 for the multipurpose rec complex. Poly Incorporated, the same project, Holland, the new corporate hangar. If y'all haven't ridden out there lately, I'd encourage you to ride out to the airport. It's coming along. Then the barge design solutions for the same project. Ardura Group for professional services for the wastewater treatment plant upgrades, and our travel request for Leanne Swartz, Maribel James to the annual conference down in Orlando. GFOA, I assume that's, what does GFOA mean? Government Financial Officers Association Annual Conference. Then Police Department for Lieutenant Chris Hurley for ASP certification. Then moving on to a recognition of beauty queens and our revenue officers and privileges of the floor, then staff reports. There's no old business. So we'll move on to new business. So we've got our annual wastewater, the MWPP report for College Street and the Northeast Lagoon. Glenn, anything to report on that? I know this is something we do at least annually to adopt these reports.
Yes, it's an annual report. In your packet should be a summary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, but it just kind of summarizes what the reports represent. Just briefly, if you want me to, I'll go down to a couple of points. It's MWPP report stands for Municipal Wastewater Pollution Prevention Reports. They are annual reports that's required to be submitted by ADEM and obviously acted on by the council. And it's a vehicle to kind of inform you of how the plants are operating, The discharge data that's collected during the year, as well as operating data, is compiled into this report. It's a points-based system. Also, it refers to or reviews the sanitary sewer overflows that might have occurred in the system during the previous year. Some of the things the points go for, if it's got uncorrected sanitary sewer overflows, or if the plants for some reason exceed the permit limit or exceed design criteria, then points are assessed for that. It's also based on the age of the plant, is points are given for that. But the lower the points, the better the system is performing. The rating scale ADM has goes from 0 to 783. And there's action scales in there. 0 to 70 points would be very good. Maybe it's just some minor things that need to be corrected. I say that because during this reporting period that's in the MWPP this year, both the College Street and the Northeast plant accumulated only 22 points each. So they're very low on the scale, and these points are basically age points that are accumulated basically going back from when it was the last upgraded, which was 2012. So very good. The collection system, as far as sanitary sewer overflows, I made a reference down there because in 2011 there were 29 sanitary sewer overflows reported in the system. This last year, I know it says 2022 on here, but it should be 2023. There was only one sanitary sewer overflow that was reported in the whole collection system, which says a lot as far as the upgrades and things that have been done and the corrections that have been made to address that. So overall, it's, again, a very good score. Barry and Clay and Reggie and those that obviously directly affect that score and how the system is operated and how it's how the collection system is upgraded and taken care of is reflected in this report.
All right, any questions of Glenn for this report? All right, thank you, Glenn. So tonight, we're just adopting the report into the record, right?
That's correct.
Good. All right, next item is request to purchase inventory off state bid list for City Hall heating, City Hall seating. So this is for the City Hall project from Hudson Office Supply, as you see there. And next item is the same purchase inventory for City Hall seating and storage from Hudson Office Supply. And then those are all budgeted items, right, Barry? Yeah. Then the next item is Fire Department, request permission to purchase equipment for KLK Fire Solutions, total cost of $30,000. Chief, you want to update us on that?
This was a budgeted item for this year. This is one of the projects that we'll be carrying out over different years just to make sure that it doesn't impact all at once. This is for battery-powered hydraulic extrication tools. As you can imagine, that's something that we have to do in a hurry currently, although they're very good. It's very good equipment. We have to pull the generator and hydraulic pump out of the truck, hook it up to the hoses, hook those hoses up to the specific item that we need to utilize. And then if we have to change tools, we have to basically redo that over again by disconnecting that tool from the hoses and so on and so forth. These, we will literally open a door, pull it out, ready to go. So even if we do need that other equipment, this allows us to start working as we're setting that stuff up, reducing time.
All right, any questions of Chief? Thank you. All right, next item is a request to utilize fundraised monies for Main Street Enterprise. Billy, you got a report on that?
Yes, I'm going to speak on behalf of Mariah. Currently, she's at a national Main Street National Conference in Birmingham, where it's good to know that she was a guest speaker for 2 classes for today. So we're very appreciative of what she does and how the state recognized her to be part of that. But anyway, she's put in a request with her team, the board, the design team, and the advisory board. They are making a recommendation for 4 branded umbrellas to be put in at the Nook. As we know, the Nook is the piece of property, vacant property, or not vacant, but a a property that we own right there on the corner of Main and Grub Street that we've been revitalizing it. So they're looking at about $1,743. Now, the second bullet point is something that we were looking at on Main Street to do work on, maybe potentially put in bump outs, landscape bump outs, however the bump outs. But we would have to work with AlDOT to get final approval on this. And Barry, you can correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but Barry has met and talked to them. For them to consider this, that we would need to present and bring a design phase and services to them for them to even consider. We wanted to work with Poly Engineer, Glenn Morgan, for the services to even to bring the concept to them. So the board did approve, knowing that it's going to take about $8,500 on the beginning process stage of this. This could be something we put together. We can take it to AlDOT. It might take months. It might take a year to get approval, or it might just sit on the shelf, or, we just don't know, but we can't do anything until we have to move forward with this to get this design to them. And if it works out on this bump out, and we were looking at trying to do it on Main Street and College, potentially we might be able to consider other bump outs on Main Street as well. But they asked for us to pick one intersection to review, to come up with a plan to present to them. They'll evaluate, and then we can take it from there if we can ever get it approved or not.
Gotcha. Any questions of Billy? So these are monies that were fundraised by Main Street, but we have to approve the expenditures.
That's correct. Yes, absolutely. These are funds that were raised through fundraiser, which we have with the city. It's been given to the city, so it's on hand.
Yep.
And but for us to move forward, we just need to go through the advisory board votes to present this to you all for final approval.
Gotcha.
So,
All right. Thank you, Billy. Next item is College Garden Subdivision Phase 1. We're going to consider take a recommendation from Engineering Department to install some decorative fixtures. Anything we need to know there, Barry?
This is just a standard new subdivision where the developer is installing the fixtures, and it's our agreement to pick up the power bill moving forward.
All right. Any questions there? All right. Next item is just introducing an ABC license request, calling for a public hearing in May. And next item is we made a mistake in our last meeting. There was a typo, and Greg read 2023 in the appointment, so we're just going to fix this out of an abundance of caution. Fix the library board appointment to take effect July 1st, 2024. Obviously, we can't make an appointment in arrears, so we're just fixing that. Won't have any effect. It just will mirror original council intent. Any questions on that? Okay. Then the next item is the supernumerary for regular board member. Jonathan, will you tell us what's going on here with the regular board member for Zoning Board of Adjustment? So we're moving Warren from seat 4 to Zoning Board of Adjustment. Is that?
Yeah, so when we looked at where, actually Beverly caught this when we were going back through. So you appointed Warren, reappointed him back to his supernumerary position.
Right.
Chris Rogers had resigned,
Okay.
and he was in seat 4. So the normal thing that we typically try to do is move a supernumerary up into the
Right,
board.
and we had discussed that.
Right,
Yeah.
and so what didn't happen at the last time, we didn't notify you that Chris Rogers was in that seat 4, that he had resigned.
Okay.
And so,
Is this going to create a vacancy in the supernumerary?
yes, sir. It will
Okay.
create a vacancy in the supernumerary,
Okay.
which will, have to be decided at a later date. The good
Gotcha.
news for this is that the appointments weren't effective
Until July 1st.
Right. So it's not going to cause any issue really with the board. It's just more like house cleaning.
Right.
Making sure that we get back on track.
All right, thank you. All right, and so what I'll do is I'll go back to our to our plan and see, see who needs to come up with a nomination to fill that vacancy. So that'll be probably whoever put Chris Rogers in that seat. All right, then we will recess the regular session, go into E911 board meeting. We'll have some minutes and some accounts payables to approve for that and accept some grant funds. Tangi, you want to tell us about these grant funds?
Good afternoon. We applied for a grant and was awarded the $114,805, and we just needed to ask permission to accept the monies.
All right, any questions on that? What will these funds be used for?
Basically, they'll be used for the staff for the dispatch pay and just to help retain what we have and possibly gain more, qualified telecommunicators.
So it's just going to go into the operations general
That's
fund?
all.
So
Yes,
they're
sir.
not restricted to a piece of equipment or anything like that?
No, sir, it's not.
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, then we'll adjourn the 911 board meeting, go back into regular session, have the mayor's report and council member comments, and then adjourn. Everybody good with this agenda? Any needed additions or deletions? All right, sounds good. We've got about 10 minutes. Barry, if it's okay with you, we'll just do yours and staff report so we can have a little break here. Okay, good. All right, we will adjourn from our council meeting, city council work session, unless somebody has anything else to discuss. And we will reconvene in our regular meeting in 10 minutes. So I'm going to call this council meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. If you would please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. We have Pastor Matt Jordan here from First Methodist Church.
Friends, this time let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, we're thankful for all that you do for us, and Lord, we are thankful for the privilege that it is to live in the city of Progress and to live in a country and a government to where we have access to be a part of these discussions and to serve with our elected officials, and we're thankful for all that they do for our community and for our city and for our areas within the city. And Lord, we pray that you will bless them. Bless this time during this meeting. Bless all of those that are going to be recognized tonight, and bless the endeavors of our city council and all that they do. Be with us as we continue to progress, as we are the city of progress. May that ever be true to our character, to our future, and to everything that we identify as those that are citizens of Enterprise. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen.
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 Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, Council, you should have the agenda in front of you that we discussed in the prior work session. I will call for a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Let the record show I'll be abstaining due to a conflict with accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now recognize our beauty queens. Mayor Cooper is going to have a presentation for the presentation of pins to the newly crowned City of Enterprise beauty queens. I believe, council, they want us to go down front.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I will present each of these Enterprise Queens with a pin featuring the city seal. These young ladies serve as ambassadors for our city and participate in several events like those we have downtown at the farmers market, and even ribbon cuttings and member milestones through the city and the Enterprise Chamber of Commerce. Of course, they also play a role in our annual Christmas tree lighting and also ride on the Enterprise float in the parade. Miss Enterprise and Little Miss Enterprise will go on to compete this fall in the National Peanut Festival pageant. Ladies, you are each a role model for others in our community, and I know you will serve the city well. When your name is called, please come forward, and I will present you with your pin.
Well, thank you, Mayor. We certainly have these beautiful ladies to thank to be part of our community. And I'd like to introduce you now to Miss Enterprise, Hannah Wood. Hannah is a freshman at Enterprise State Community College. She is a small business owner of Hannah Wood and Company. She's artsy, creative, and loves to shop and spend time with friends. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Enterprise, Hannah Wood. Wonderful. And next, I'd like to introduce you to Teen Miss Enterprise, Adeline Atkinson. Adeline is a 9th grader at New Brockton High School. She enjoys raising baby chicks, goats, and geese, as well as pageants and cheerleading. Ladies and gentlemen, Teen Miss Enterprise, Adeline Atkinson. We have to get that picture. Our next awardee tonight is Junior Miss Enterprise, Riley Scarlett. Riley is in 6th grade at Brookwood Elementary. She is now currently a Coppinville Junior High School cheerleader. She enjoys running and going to the beach and Disney. Ladies and gentlemen, our Junior Miss Enterprise, Riley Scarlett. I would now like to introduce you to our Petite Miss Enterprise, Jalea Leverett. Jalea is a 4th grader at Heron Creek Elementary. She spends her time playing softball, volleyball, running track, and participating in dance and pageants. Ladies and gentlemen, Petite Miss Enterprise, Jalea Leverett. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Little Miss Enterprise, Raylan Gilly. Raylan is in the 1st grade at Holly Hill Elementary. She holds a gray belt in jiu-jitsu, watch out, Mayor, and also participates in tap, ballet, jazz, and gymnastic classes. Ladies and gentlemen, Little Miss Enterprise, Raylan Gilly. And our future Little Miss Enterprise is Bella Litherland. Miss Bella is a kindergartner at Brookwood Elementary. She plays the piano and enjoys dance, gymnastics, and horses. Ladies and gentlemen, our future Little Miss Enterprise, Bella Litherland. So one round. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you our 2024 Enterprise Queens.
All right, next item on the agenda is to recognize Mayor Cooper and CFO Treasurer Leanne Schwartz, who will present Laura Miller and Sandra DeTora with plaques to designate receipt of their Certified Municipal Revenue Officer certification.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to recognize two city employees from the Revenue Department, Laura Miller and Sandra DeTora. These ladies each will be presented with a plaque recognizing their completion of Certified Municipal Revenue Officers course. This training will aid in their ability to better help serve the citizens of Enterprise. I would like to call on the city CFO, Treasurer Leanne Swartz, to say a few words before we present these awards.
Thank you. So Laura and Sandy, if you'd come up here, please. These are two of our three revenue clerks who work, actually Laura is our chief revenue officer and Sandy is an accounting clerk who works in the revenue office. And they are two of our three employees that every business owner in the city gets to come in and see. So if you have gotten your business license or dealt with your taxes or anything related to your business here in the city, these ladies have helped you out. And it has actually, this month, both of them started in May of 2022. So exactly 2 years that they have been working for the city, and they both managed to get their certification within that time. And I'm super proud of both of them. The city is very lucky to have these ladies taking care of our business owners at the city because they do a fantastic job. And now they've got that certification also to help bolster their expertise. And it's not a one and done because you have to have continuing education to keep up your certification. So they are going to continue learning and growing themselves in revenue to help benefit every one of the business owners and the citizens here in the city. I'm super proud of them. I know they've done a great job, and I know our business owners love coming in and talking to them. So we're very excited and happy to give them their certificates. So this is for Laura Miller. And then Sandra DeTora.
All right, Mayor, thank you for those presentations, and certainly congratulations to our queens and to our new revenue officers. We're now to the point of the meeting called Privilege of the Floor. This is where anyone that is present here this evening wishes to address the council on any matter that would they would be given 3 minutes to do so. Is there anyone here that wishes to take privilege of the floor? Mr. Bench, will come forward.
Sorry, I've been away for the last month, but my last comments about street repairs still stand. We did manage to pick up some branches off of Dixie Drive. However, the hole at the intersection of Apache and Seminole is still there and getting deeper every day. And the hole in front of 107 Heron Creek Drive is still there, not getting quite as deep as the one off of Apache. I will compliment the fact that the city managed to get a work crew out to the one on Iroquois Drive today. Spent about 3 hours, and I suppose they made some sort of a repair that we'll have to wait for the next good flooding rain to find out. I'm just wondering how long it takes to get these other ones fixed. I thought we had a pothole crew in the city, and this is something they could fix fairly quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bench. Anyone else wish to take privilege of the floor this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to staff reports. Barry, I know you've got a staff report.
Jeremy set this up, that he said this was fail-safe, so I'm going to try not to mess this up. Thank you, Council. Mayor, I want to give a quick update of where we are on the garbage tonight. There's been some issues that's come up in the field, and I wanted to kind of to walk you through some of the things that we're seeing just for informational purposes, but also at the end of this, I have a question or an ask of you if you have appetite for something from us at Public Works. A couple things I want to go through real quick. We're getting a good bit of questions at Public Works. I thought I'd use this format and make sure that y'all are aware kind of what's in our current ordinances now. And I pulled this directly off of MuniCode, and I'm not going to read these to you, of course, but a couple things I want to point out is by the MuniCode, it says that we'll pick up the garbage as a garbage can once a week, and it says that we'll pick up the rubbish being defined as anything that's bulk garbage. We pick that up at least every other week. We currently do this every week, but that's what the ordinance says. Under 1378, when it talks about picking up trees and such, it says that a tree can't be more than 6 inches in diameter and has to be cut at least 6 feet or shorter and collected and put across the roadside. That's directly out of the ordinance. Removal of building debris, I just want to point out that things like scrap lumber, plaster, roofing, concrete, brick bats, other materials resulting from the construction, repair, or demolishing of any building or structure on private property, and dirt and rocks will not be removed by sanitation department, not by our garbage crew. That they shall be the waste of the property owner. Disposal of tires, we're seeing a lot of that right now, but it's unlawful for anybody to put those things into a gully, ditch, landfill, they're on their own side, landfill, trash. But the main thing I highlighted in red there, any vacant lot within the corporate limits of the city enterprise, you cannot just take and dump tires on those areas there. We picked up, how many, Shannon, this week? 314 tires this week that we had under nuisance properties that were put on a vacant lot that by ordinance, the city should not pick up. But at the same time, what do you do about taking care of the city and picking up something that you can't catch the perpetrators that are doing it? And this is also in the ordinance, and this is what we're operating under, just to make you aware that in the event that we have more than a truckload, we charge $25 plus a $1.50 landfill fee to come pick it up at a person's house. So $25, pretty good deal. So what are we seeing in the field? I just want to make you aware. Currently, right now, we're 1 day behind on grinding site, limb debris, trash like leaves, that kind of stuff. We're 1 day behind on being on our route. We're about 2 to 3 days behind on taking it to the county landfill. That's anything that would be taken up. That'd be anything that's not organic, anything not tree limbs or leaves, that kind of stuff that goes to the county landfill. We're currently about 2 days behind. We've been that way in about 2 weeks, going on 3 weeks. Shannon and I have got a plan to get that back under correction. We are working weekends and we are working overtime. So if you see our guys out there, we're doing everything we can to get caught up on that. But I want to show you what we're seeing in the field just to make you aware. You know, we're getting some of this, which is what we kind of expect to see. You know, somebody doing some yard work, small pile of debris. Some of that's awesome. We have no problem. This can keep us on. We can keep on track on this pretty easy. But we're getting a whole lot of this, and this puts us. And I got several pictures here because I think pictures speak tons of what we're up against. But on the left, you can see that someone took down a construction like a fence. So, you know, we do not take off scrapped lumber and stuff that does. I read you the ordinance or showed you the ordinance that was there, and I gave this presentation to Emily so we can upload this for the public to see as well. On the right, that picture was taken today. Somebody had hired a contractor, it looks like, and had cut down a row of shrubbery / some kind of a tree, small trees. And you can see it in relation to how big the house is. It must be 40 feet long, 8 feet tall, and it's deeper than that across. Some other pictures, and these are some pictures that Shannon and I kind of share back and forth as we see them. You can see that these are the type of things, and I'm not going to waste your time going through it, but these are the type of things that we show up that when we get to a site like this, it takes us, like that big picture that I showed you, on your right, there, the one that's in landscape mode, that's probably 3 to 4 truckloads of debris that would be going to the grinding site. So take into account, we currently run 6 knuckle boom trucks, 6 trucks. Those trucks pick up between 3 and 4 loads a day. When I say a load, a full truckload. So at best case, we're hauling about 24 loads of garbage from what we pick up in the fields per day to a landfill or to the grinding site. If we're picking up 4, 5 loads at one house, it puts us severely behind schedule. So some things that we have done to get us back on track is when we come up on a site like this, we are currently bypassing these. We will talk to the resident, explain to them what we're doing, and we will schedule a time to get that caught back up. But we're going to stay on the route. We're going to pick up the smaller portions like what you typically see there. Some operational changes that we're making. But we're seeing a whole lot of this, and I wanted y'all to be aware of it. On the picture to your right, you see that those are not 6 inches in diameter or less. You can see they're not 6 feet or shorter, and we definitely don't pick up construction debris. The one on the right you see there on slide 12, that's on a vacant lot, and I haven't got a call on that on nuisance properties yet, but I'm sure that's coming. There's another one on the left on a nuisance property that someone just piled up debris on a vacant lot. And then one on the right was taken out the windshield of one of our trucks across the whole front of the house. So again, a whole lot of this. One, I wanted to make you aware of kind of what's going on and let the public know what's acceptable and not acceptable. So what is our path forward? We're gonna keep enforcing the ordinances we have there about what we pick up, what we don't pick up. We're going to continue communicating with the public about if we don't pick it up, why. If we knock on the door, we're going to come up with some flyers that we can stick on their mailbox and or door hangers to tell them why we didn't pick it up or schedule a time to pick up a larger group that's there. We have to comply with a $25 per load right now, but one thing I would ask your appetite on was, would you be okay with me bringing you a draft ordinance for the bulk garbage or the rubbish, as our ordinance calls it? And the purpose being this. At the end of every year, you ask me to look at how our garbage fees are running. So we take all the costs and we take it, divide it by the number of customers, and we come up with a cost that costs to do the garbage per resident. Some people, there's a good portion of the people that use it very seldomly or use a very small portion, like the first picture I showed you. And then we have a handful or a smaller group of people that really use that $25 per load, and that cost gets divvied across a bigger group. What I would ask to do, if it's okay with you, is to come with an ordinance to say if we put a volumetric measure on what we would pick up on our weekly routes as far as rubbish, and the order may be like a cubic yard, a 3 foot by 3 foot by 3 foot. We're prepared to do that. We can stay on track. That's not a problem. If you have something that would be 4 truckloads or some of the pictures I showed you later in the slide presentations, we would come give a quote to the resident and say, if you'd like us to take this off, this is what it would be. We can schedule that ordinance anyway, and I'd be glad to pull something together for you to review and possibly approve, but I just wanted to ask your opinion if that's something that you would be willing for me to draft something for a future meeting for y'all to review.
Scotty?
Please do.
Greg?
I agree.
Yes.
Yes.
And the $25 is ridiculous. It needs to be twice that at least.
We did get a quote today, Mr. Councilman, from someone that has a roll-off, like a 24-yard roll-off, like what you get in a construction for there, and it's $400 for them to take it, drop it off, and pick it back up, and that gives you, I forget how many tons of garbage, anything over that tonnage, they charge you again an additional amount. So, you know, they're getting the equivalent. One truck of ours is about like that. It's $400 worth of, if they were to go to someone to have it delivered, they're getting a heck of a deal at
And that ain't
$25.
count loading it.
No, sir. So we're doing the best we can, but I think the right answer is for us to do some kind of volumetric measure of this is what we can pick up on a daily cycle and no problem. But what's happening is we deliver on the site, we keep one truck at one house. That one that I showed you that I took a picture of today, we could be at that house all day long. And so we've got one out of 6 that's locked up all day long on one residence, and they're not moving around and getting the other piles from the other residents that are requiring the same service. So would that approval, sir, I will put together a draft ordinance for y'all to review, and we'll look at a volumetric and a cost for doing that. And I'd answer any questions that y'all may have.
So if we have people that say that it's been 2 or 3 weeks that they've had trash out there, then that's not
It should not
following
be
it.
true, sir. If it is, call me, call Shannon, and give us the address, and let me figure out what's going on.
Okay.
If they put out like construction debris, and we don't pick it up, a lot of times that they'll use that as an excuse. It's taken 2 or 3 weeks to do that. Sometimes we start getting nuisance calls, and that's very regular for, we're not going to pick it up, you need to take this to the grinding site, you need to take it to the landfill. If they don't do it, then we have a bunch of property owners start complaining. And then at some point, if we're caught up, just to keep the city clean, sometimes we'll address some of these things as we can. But typically, I'll just tell you, from what I know, 99% sure that we're picking up no more than 3 days behind schedule at the current rate. But I'd like to get us back where we're on schedule every week, that we don't have to inform you that we're behind schedule.
Eugene, Sonia, y'all have anything?
Oh, Barry, I did mention something to Shannon about tires.
Yes, sir.
So he's going to talk to you about that, an idea.
Yeah, we are working with, there's a program with ADEM and as well as the county that we can get reimbursed for a portion of those costs. I don't think we want to go down the avenue of being a tire collector across the city and the county. I think we could set up another 6 boom trucks every week to just do that work. But there is an avenue there for us to get reimbursed for some of those costs. But 300 and something, you heard from Shannon, 300 and something today, this week already.
Anything else? Was that all of you?
Yes, sir, thank you. I appreciate your time.
All right,
Thank
thank you,
you.
Barry. Any other staff reports? Chief Davis?
I just wanted to give you a quick update. All of you have heard me talk about ISO scores, probably more times than you wish to remember. A quick background for anybody who's unaware, the scores go from 1 to 10, 1 being the best, 10 being essentially their version of no fire protection whatsoever in a community. In February, we got all of our information with the assistance of Chief Moore's staff and communications, as well as Alan's in the water department. And they visited us, we provided that information, and we've been waiting on that score. The scores are very simple. Communications or 911 is 10%, water department is 40%, and then the reason that it's one of our big deals is because the fire department of that is 50%. There were a lot of line changes in that, but I am very happy to state that we will remain a 2, of which nationwide there are about 2,008. There was like I said, quite a few different changes, but we ended up being 0.02 of a point from where we were before. So that's might not be to you, but there's a lot of pressure off. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. Otherwise, I'll.
Any questions from the council?
Just thank you, Chief. I know how hard your folks are working in the water department and for Chief Moore 911, so thanks for the great work.
Yeah, thanks, Chief. That's awesome.
I just wanted to kind of expound on that. You know, I looked at the report, and I'll be happy to get Chief Davis to send that to all of you. But just to give you an example, when he says we're Class 2, there were 2,000 communities, and you might want to put that in perspective. There were 3,800 in Class 3, 7,000 in Class 4, 8,800 in Class 5, 6,000 in Class 6, 2,000 in Class 7, and another, almost 7,000 from 8 to 10. So, I mean, this is a very high standard that our community has met yet again. And I just want to make sure that Chief Davis and his department get a lot of credit for that. It's not 2,000 out of 3,000. Like we're in the upper percentile.
Right.
So.
All right, thank you for that. Any other staff reports this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to old business, of which there is none, so we'll move on to new business. We'll now review and consider Resolution 050724, which is the MWPP College Street Wastewater Treatment Plant. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 050724, providing for the adoption of the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention Annual Report for MPDES permit number AL0020036 for the College Street Wastewater Treatment Facility. The report sets forth the actions and schedule necessary to maintain effluent requirements contained in the permit and to prevent the bypass and overflow of raw sewage within the collection system or treatment plant. Do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt Resolution 050724.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 050724. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider Resolution 050724A, NWPP for Northeast Wastewater Treatment Plant. Introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 050724A, providing for the adoption of the Municipal Water Pollution Prevention, MWPP, Annual Report for MPDES permit number AL0020061 for the Northeast Wastewater Treatment Facility. The report sets forth the actions and schedule necessary to maintain effluent requirements contained in the permit and to prevent the bypass and overflow of raw sewage within the collection system or treatment plant. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adopt Resolution 050724A.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 050724A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider a request of permission to purchase inventory off the state bid list for City Hall seating. I introduce and call for consideration of a request to purchase office and common area seating for the renovated City Hall from Hudson Office Supply Company Incorporated, JSI, and OM Seating through the Alabama State Bid List at a total cost of $118,077.59. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider a request of permission to purchase inventory for City Hall seating and storage, Hudson Office Supply. I introduce and call for consideration of a request to purchase seating and storage for various offices in the renovated City Hall from Hudson Office Supply Company Incorporated for $17,666.53. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request for permission to purchase equipment from the fire department. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Fire Chief Christopher Davis to purchase the following FY24 budgeted equipment from KLK Fire Solutions at a total cost of $30,678.75. One EBFC 320 18-volt surge cutter, one ES100 28 18-volt surge spreader, one ER40 18-volt surge ram, and 3 Bulldog mounting brackets. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider a request to utilize fundraised monies from Main Street Enterprise. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Main Street Director Mariah Montgomery to utilize fundraised monies to fund the following: 4 branded patio umbrellas with weighted bases for the Nook at a cost of $1,743.42, and a topographic survey and preliminary design phase services for the Main Street College Street intersection to be completed by Poly Incorporated, totaling $8,550. Do I hear a motion?
Move to utilize the fundraised monies as requested.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to utilize the fundraised monies as requested. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now review and consider a street lighting modification request from College Gardens subdivision, Phase 1. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Assistant Director of Engineering Thomas Hardy to install 8 49-watt decorative fixtures and poles in College Gardens subdivision, Phase 1, at an annual cost of $746.88. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the street lighting request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the street lighting request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now introduce an ABC license request for Dollar General Store number 25785. I introduce a request from Dolgen Corp. LLC, doing business as Dollar General Store number 25785, for a retail beer off-premise only license and retail table wine off-premise only license located at 100 Jackson Street. I also call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for May 21st, 2024. We'll now consider a motion to amend the library board appointment. I call for a motion to amend the appointment of Steve Nelson to the Enterprise Library Board, Seat 5, to reflect a term beginning July 1, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2027. Do I hear a motion?
I move to amend the appointment of Steve Nelson to the Enterprise Library Board, Seat 5, to reflect a term beginning July 1st, 2024, and ending June 30th, 2027.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend this appointment. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, just realized, isn't this a 4-year term, so shouldn't that be 2028?
So
How does that work?
this was a discussion with our city attorney. The reason why this is, it's being stated as a 3-year term is because the prior term expired 1 year ago. So it'll be up to the next council in order to get on a normal rotation to just extend this term also.
Okay.
So that's what that was. Ashley, did I explain that? Yeah. All right, any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider a motion to move the supernumerary to a regular board member for the Zoning Board of Adjustment, Seat 4. I call for a motion to move Warren Byron to Seat 4 of the Zoning Board of Adjustment to fill the unexpired term ending June 30th, 2026, and vacate his appointment as supernumerary 7 beginning July 1, 2024. Do I hear a motion?
I move to move Warren Byron to seat 4 of the zoning board of adjustment to fill the unexpired term ending June 30, 2026, and vacate his appointment of supernumerary 7 beginning July 1, 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to make this adjustment to the appointment to Seat 4, from Seat 4 to supernumerary 7 on the Zoning Board of Adjustment. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now take a brief recess from the regular session of the City Council meeting to convene in the E911 Board meeting. Let the record show that all board members of the E911 Board are present. We'll now review the minutes of April 2nd, 2024 meeting. I'll call for a motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd, 2024 meeting of the E911 Board meeting minutes as submitted.
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider approving the accounts payable A from April 2024. I call for a motion to approve accounts payable A for April 2024 in the amount of $6,444.93. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve accounts payable A for April 2024.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve accounts payable A for April 2024. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider the acceptance of grant funds from the Alabama 911 Board. I call for a motion to accept $114,805 in Alabama 911 Board grant funds and further authorize the E911 coordinator to execute the grant agreement as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
Move to accept the Alabama 911 Board grant funds and further authorize the E911 coordinator to execute the grant agreement as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept these grant funds and execute the grant agreement. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll now adjourn the E911 board meeting and reconvene in the Enterprise City Council meeting regular session. Mayor, you have a report for us?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to again congratulate the Enterprise Queens. We look forward to seeing you at our events this year, and we know you will be wonderful ambassadors for our city. A special thanks to the family of these queens. We appreciate your support and all you do to help get these young ladies ready for as well to and from the events. Thank you. Congratulations also to Laura and Sandra from the Revenue Department. Your commitment to education is admirable, and I know our citizens will benefit as well. This is a busy week. It's National Nurses Week as well as Teachers Appreciation Week. Thank you to those who serve in our community. From the hospital to the schools, our nurses and teachers are saving and impacing our lives. Speaking of schools, graduation session is here. I want to give a special congratulations to the class of 2024, Enterprise High School, New Brockton High, Elba High, and Kinston, as well as Enterprise State Community Colleges. As a former educator, I always look forward to graduation, but I also look forward to seeing students come back and share their accomplishments. I will never get tired of being out or about in the community and being stopped by a former band student. I wish all of those graduates as well, may God's richest blessing be upon them. As far as the city announcements, we had a wonderful turnout this past Saturday for the annual festival in the park. I want to thank the Enterprise Park and Recreation team, Public Works, Police, and Fire Departments. It takes a team to put on an event like this, and I'm so proud of the employees who came together to create such a memorial event for our citizens. This Saturday is Senior Center Open House. Stop by the Senior Center from 10 to 2 to learn about the services offered for those 60 and older in our community. Next Saturday, May 18th, is the peak season kickoff at the Farmers Market. It is also the Chef Showdown. I'll be there with my apron and my chef's hat, and I hope you will join us for a fun way to shop the farm fresh vendors and support some of our local chefs. There's always something to do in our great city. Stay up to date with what's happening by following the City of Enterprise on Facebook. You can also visit our website, enterpriseal.gov. Thank you.
Ms. Rich?
I ditto all of the congratulatory remarks by Mayor Cooper, and congratulations to you, Chief Davis, and the fire department on the excellent ISO rating. I do also echo Mr. Bench's question. How long does it take to fill a hole? And I say that not to suggest that we aren't working hard, and I know that our staff is working hard, but he came to this council, to the privilege of the floor maybe a month ago, or maybe more. I think he said he missed a month, so that's more than a month about holes. So, whereas I know we are working hard, I'm strongly suggesting that we increase some consistency and some reporting with these issues like that, because if a person comes to privilege of the floor and is reporting the same thing, that suggests to me that we are riding by that same hole and watching it progressively get worse. So, staff, I would really appreciate that added attention to those things. Barry and Shannon and I have just talked recently today, had a great conversation about some things that we're gonna collectively try to help our citizens on. So citizens, thank you for your patience as well, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Mr. Goolsbee?
Well, I'm not going to go back and repeat all that Sonia said, but I certainly agree with her. And anything that we can do to improve the staff, whatever it takes to get our city, all of our little projects going and get them going in a hurry would be appreciated. Glad to hear the reports tonight about the nuisance properties and what's going to be accomplished with the new laws, I guess you would say, the legal things to get this done, where in the past the city could not go into a private property and tear it down or mow the grass or whatever. So I'm really looking forward to this becoming a reality. We're glad to have our queens with us tonight, and especially proud of our revenue officers for achieving their certification. Thank you.
Mr. Paget?
I'd like to echo most of what everyone else has already said. Congratulations to the queens, to the revenue officers. Also, very happy to hear that some progress is being made on those blighted properties. As I sometimes call it, Operation Slumlord. I'm glad to see some progress happening on that as well, and looking forward to getting some of this behind us.
Mr. Johnson?
Mm-hmm. I'd like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you for all those that are watching on TV. And thank you to our queens. We're going to be well represented this year. Mr. Bench, thank you for those comments. But one thing I'd like to comment is I challenge all our citizens to help out our workers trying to pick up this stuff. I've driven around and I see a lot of rubbish, a lot of stuff that's out on the street. And we get a good rain coming up, that stuff's going to float down into our drains, then we're going to have a bigger problem. So we're getting around to pick it up, but please do your due diligence, cutting it to the proper length and leave it on your yard. Your yard's not going to die within a week or so. If so, water that area out there, but please, because there's a lot of spring cleaning going on. A lot of people are cleaning stuff out of their house, so please help our workers out, because they're out there on the weekends and doing the work. The other thing is, Chief, I cannot say enough about our fire department, and thank you, Chief Moore, and 911 folks, and our water department back there, too, for that ISO rating. That's not an easy thing to do. And every one of those folks out there in all departments, especially the fire department there, needs to be, a big pat on the back and say thank you, because it's hard to get that. When Jonathan read the other ratings, when you look at the other ones below in the 2000, you are way up there and just numbers off from that ISO 1 rating. So whatever we can do to help out, please let us know. And thank you. God bless.
All right. Thank you all. I think it's all been said, so certainly appreciate everybody coming. If you would join us back here Tuesday, May 21st at 5 p.m. for our work session, and we will stand adjourned until then. Thank you. Have a good evening.